What is going on, everyone? This morning I'm going to do a quick overview of the Devo Knives Lush. This was just released. It's an exclusive with traditional pocket knives. This one here, I believe there are three versions, and this one here is the Fat Carbon Arctic Blast. I am not a big fan of Fat Carbon. I never have been, but I will say that now that I have it in my hand, it's actually not that bad, and I do like the tones that they chose, the different colors they chose, especially this tone of blue is pretty sick. But before I go through this, I will say also that this, I have no question that anyone that handles this is going to look at it as the new Fidget King. But before I go through the different ways you can deploy the knife, just to go through the specs real quick. You have an overall length of 7 inches. The blade itself is a beautiful sheep's foot blade. It's a machine satin hollow grind. And I don't actually know the thickness of the blade. I don't think they put that in the specs, but I gotta say it's probably 0.12 to 0.15, somewhere in there. In any case, again, 3-inch cutting blade, or excuse me, 3-inch blade with a 2.75 cutting edge. The handle being 4 inches. And again, the overall length, 7 inches long. Total weight is 2.9 ounces. As I had mentioned earlier, or at least I think I did, this is a bolster lock. Essentially just like a liner lock, but it is considered a bolster lock. Blade steel is SV90. And I think that's it for the specs. I think the overall thickness is right under a ½ inch. I think it was 0.46, if I remember correctly. In any case, this is a beautiful knife, and it is so fun to play with. Like I said, it's going to be the new Fidget King, if you ask me, for the simple fact that it's got a fuller that runs the length of the blade. It's got a lighter detent, and it has 2 separate angles for front flipping. So if you want to actually just pull it back, you can use this top angle up here. Comes out smoothly. Want to front flip, use the second angle here. But the truth is, you can use them for either. It is so smooth that it really doesn't matter where you grab it. It's going to pop right open. And it snaps open. For a knife with a lighter detent, it really snaps open. And I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to look, maybe I will. But I can actually open this with all 4 fingers on the back side. So if I use my pointer finger, obviously the Spidey flick, you can use the third. And let's see if this goes. Yeah, with all 4. Obviously with a little bit of wrist action, but my point being is that this thing pops open. It's super smooth, fun to play with. It's really dialed in. The only thing aesthetically I don't like that I've seen Devo knives do previously, but I think it has something to do with the fact that they want the right angle to make sure it's dialed in. But I don't like how much knife, I don't like the aesthetic look when a knife has this much blade showing and it comes out at this angle, as opposed to having a straight line down. That's just a little thing. Obviously, Lefty EDC is a stickler on his reviews, and it's obviously paying off because these knives that they're putting out, Devo Knives himself and Colin, they are dialed in. Not only are they dead center, they are truly dialed in. These guys have put out some great designs. They're people that you should be watching. If you're not already on the bandwagon, as I said in my post, I think yesterday, you should jump on because these guys have put out so many great designs in the last year. Definitely a company you should be watching. Good people, which is a big thing for me. I also love, by the way, in this grip, the big finger choil along with jimping up here. Really, it really gives you full control of the knife. And if you've watched any of my reviews, that's a big deal to me. Whether you're doing, thumb push cuts or just want control of the blade. Even when you're unboxing or doing anything else and pressing down, you have that jimping here. My finger I'm putting all the force I can on there, and it's not going anywhere. So you really have solid control. It feels good. I'm just looking at this blade, admiring the blade. The machine satin is beautiful. I'm a sucker for a hollow grind and a sheep's foot. So this is 100% up my alley. But I mean, just if you listen to how dialed in this is, of course, that happens when I say that, but it is super dialed in. It's very snappy. And I will also tell you that I've only had this for a couple days, so I can't really do a review and say that, I can't give my perspective on how solid of a knife it is, but I can tell you that with the few things that I've cut with it, out of the box, this is one of the sharper knives that I've had this year in 2023. So that's saying something. And you're getting this, by the way, this is a lot of knife for $199. I would have expected that a knife like this, maybe $275, somewhere around that range. So for $199, that's impressive. Last but not least, and I started to get into it with the finger choil and the control with the jimping up here, but overall the ergonomics are phenomenal. I mean, it's super comfortable. I really don't have any hot spots. There's no rubbing or, you know, raises anywhere that feel uncomfortable. It's just a fun knife to play with. I would highly recommend checking this out. Even if it's not this knife, go grab a Devo knife. Go to devoknives.com. I believe that's their website. Grab one of their knives if there's any available and check them out, because they've had some really great designs over the last year. The first time I actually got to handle one was a little bit before Blade Show. Then I got to handle the Nip, which was another favorite of mine. And now the Lush, which is, again, a great knife. Just to give you a close-up here. These scales, again, not my favorite. I'm just not a big fan of fat carbon. But it is a beautiful looking blade. It is a soft detent. I think I mentioned that before. I can actually just whip it open. But it needs to be a soft detent. I mean, obviously, being a fidgety knife was part of developing this knife, I would assume. So the soft detent works with all the number of ways you can deploy it. But yeah, it's the Devo Knives Lush. I don't know how many are available, if they still have some available. Like I said, it wasn't exclusive with traditionalpocketknives.com. But if you go there and they have one available, definitely grab it, especially if you're looking for a fidgety knife, and one where you're actually going to get a solid blade behind all the fidgetiness, I guess. This really is a quality knife. But I will definitely try to edit in some cutting videos as well. If I don't, I'll probably create a separate video. But go check them out. Devo Knives.